Oh my god, this one took a while to cut down. Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage. Right, so we open where we last left off, in Dragonstone, and there's a bit of a drizzle. Daenerys is taking stock of her situation. She mentions that she could easily conquer Westeros with her dragons, and Tyrion's like, yeah, if you don't mind there not being much left, pointing out that they could win with much less bloodshed with the support of the other nobles, which isn't unlikely as Cersei ain't exactly popular since the whole blowing everyone up thing left the people a tad chagrined. And she's like, fair? Varys says some words, but Dany's wise to him. She grills him about all the decisions he's made in the past and why. She makes it clear she doesn't trust him, and she's like, don't betray me or I'll burn you. And he's like, don't fuck up and I won't have to. And she's like, fair? Then she gets a visit from the Red Woman, who tells her about Jon Snow and how much of a legit baller he is. Tyrion vouches for him, saying he's basically a stand-up guy and that he's an excellent judge of character. So she agrees to invite him to Dragonstone, sort of. Cut to Winterfell, and archery practice is happening. Jon shows Sansa the message from Tyrion and asks what she makes of it. She makes out Tyrion's basically legit as far as she ever saw, but then she still thinks it's too big a risk. Davos points out that there might not be a choice in the matter and that dragons would be a good thing to have on their side. Over to King's Landing, and Cersei's putting the old PR spin on things, painting Daenerys as a bloodthirsty psychopath. After blowing up most of the court of King's Landing. She tries to tell them that if they work together they can win. This prompts a question from Randall Tarley, the personification of that feeling you get when you remember we all have to die one day. The question being how she intends to take out 3 dragons. Cersei looks to Qyburn, who gives an empty response. Jaime goes off to talk to Tarley and basically tries to recruit him by talking smack about his last boss, Olenna Tyrell. Cut to his kid Sam in the Citadel and Jim Broadbent examining Jorah. Oh god, he does look a bit off, doesn't he? There's a bit of back and forth, but the gist of it is they can't help him. Sam learns his name's Mormont before Jim Broadbent calls him away. Back to King's Landing, and Cersei is looking at the dragon skulls with Qyburn, and he unveils some artillery, a crossbow on steroids. Apparently Qyburn has seen the Hobbit movies. Back to Dragonstone, and a strategy meeting from Team Daenerys is taking place. Yara is in favour of Scorched Earth, as is Ilaria. Tyrion argues against it. Daenerys takes his side. Olenna makes a witty remark, and they get to the plan. Basically, for the Westerosi armies to besiege King's Landing, while the Unsullied and Dothraki sail for Casterly Rock, it being the seat of power for the Lannisters. Tyrion figures that if they lose the rock, it'll be much easier to beat them. Everyone agrees. Daenerys and Olenna talk in private, and she tells her to basically ignore Tyrion. Cut to Grey Worm, and Missandei comes to say goodbye. He finally acknowledges his feelings for her, and what follows is kind of awkward, really. Cut back to Sam and Jim Broadbent. Sam wants to try and treat Ser Jorah since he's read about it being done, but Jim Broadbent's having none of it. Sam, however, ain't taking no for an answer and sneaks into Jorah's room that night to go all renegade surgeon. He gives Jorah a drink and sets the how-to book on the table. What follows is... Oh god. Oh, that is disgusting. Oh god. Oh, that's a pie transition. Oh, that is grim. It's like he knew what we were cutting away from. So moving swiftly on, Arya's sitting at a table and, oh cool, it's hot pie. So she takes some pie and ale from him, but he's cool with it because hot pie's great. They get to talking and hot pie mentions that Jon Snow's king in the north. Arya's like, shit off, you're making it up. And he's like, nah, legit. So Arya heads off to Winterfell. Meanwhile, at Winterfell, Jon brings the Dragonstone matter to his court, along with the fact that Sam's Dragonglass letter basically says Dragonstone would be a great place to go right now. Even so, the court pretty much unanimously says no, including Lyanna Mormont, whose word, as we know, is law. So naturally, he pulls rank and decides to go anyway. LOL! So he goes to the crypt, and Littlefinger tries his usual stick on Jon, who doesn't know him so well. Unfortunately for him, it goes about as well as it did when he tried it on Sean Bean. Jon then rides off, leaving Sansa in charge of the north while he's gone. Cut to Arya warming herself by the fire, and her horse is panicking, and you know she's gone north because all of a sudden there's a ton of wolves about. She looks about ready to fight them when an actual direwolf comes up behind her. Holy shit, it's Nymeria! How many comebacks is that this week? Arya's like, come with me, and Nymeria's like, nah fam, and she's like, fair. Cut to the vaguely established seas, and the Sand Snakes are arguing about who they get to kill. Cut to the lower deck, and some international diplomacy is happening, but then they get attacked by Euron Greyjoy and his vaguely established merry men. Some inconsistent cinematography and fighting ensues, and long story short, Euron kills 2 of the Sand Snakes before the rest of them are captured, and Yara jumps down to fight with him, and it goes less than perfectly. Okay, Theon, this is it. This is your moment, your chance for redemption, the turning point in your character, the chance to finally show— Oh, come on! Fucking wimp.